Your truck and your road to success in the trucking industry.
This is Trucking Business and Beyond, the show that puts the money where it belongs.
Back in your pocket.
Good morning, you beautiful bunch of fuckers, and welcome to my world. I'm your host, Kevin Rutherford. It is Thursday, June 20th. We are here live. It is time for a free-for-all. Anything goes in this first hour, no guests, no themes. I don't really have much to talk about today. A couple things. While we're waiting for some calls to come in, looks like they might be coming in already. Go ahead and pick up that phone and join us, 855-950-3835. If you're listening on the app, you can hit that call now button. If you're watching on a live stream, you could type in a question on the chat. I'll keep an eye on those as well. We will get to your calls here as soon as they start coming in, so go ahead and line them up. I've just got a couple things. I will be followed after this hour by Mike and Kevin Beckett. Rolling Toe is coming up in the next hour. So jump in and join us. We'll get to your calls here pretty quickly. A couple things. I've mentioned, I try to stay away from politics, but I've mentioned the southern border and what's been going on for several years now. It's been in the news lately that there are a lot of crimes being committed by people coming across the border illegally. One of them involves trucking. So there was a fatal crash in Colorado. A driver died. And it turns out that this driver, 47-year-old driver, has been deported 16 times since 2002. He's been deported 16 times, and he keeps coming back into the country illegally and somehow manages to get a CDL and manages to get a job driving. And he claims of all these years he's been here, he's been driving for 7 years. And now he's killed somebody. And not only did he kill somebody, after breaking the law at least 16 times and coming back into the country illegally, they've reduced his charges to a misdemeanor. I don't understand this. Why isn't this a felony? And if we send him back to Mexico and he keeps coming across the border, why don't we put him in prison here? I'd rather not pay for these illegal immigrants going to prison, but I'd rather do that than lose more American lives. Maybe we should just shut down the border so this doesn't keep happening. 16 times. I mean, I don't even know what to say about that. How many times are we going to let these people go? And now he kills somebody, and somehow some judge decides this should only be a misdemeanor. It turns out, I'll tell you who should really go to prison over this. The executive team of this trucking company, because it turns out they have at least 4 other violations like this. They've got a pretty bad record. How do you hire somebody who has a record like this? Many somebodies need to be held responsible here. This driver should go to U.S. prison. Don't send him back to Mexico. Obviously, that's not working because we don't have a southern border. If we actually had a border that stopped people from coming in, then clearly send him back to Mexico. But that's not working. And it can't work if we don't enforce the laws at our southern border. This is just one of the things that's been going on. What else did I have here? I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but most of what I was reading today kind of does have to do with the government or politics or whatever it might be. This one kind of makes me a little crazy. We've been hearing about the multiple billions of dollars for charging stations. Our money, the taxpayers, the government spent a ton of money on charging stations. The numbers are so stupid, they don't even make sense. But turns out they've only built 8 charging stations. Those are really, really expensive charging stations. But it gets worse. This is where the government should get out of free enterprise because they are horrible at it, and all they're doing is wasting our money and driving up inflation. When the government spends like drunken sailors, that drives up inflation. We talked about the COVID spending, but this administration has not stopped spending. They are still spending incredible amounts of money. $1 trillion of new debt every 100 days. And I think the next time the report comes out, it's going to be even shorter than that. Now, get this. They spent $42.5 billion to create high-speed internet for rural homes. High-speed internet for rural homes already exists. There are several companies that have satellite internet. Most of them are pretty awful. I've used several of them. Starlink is incredible. The best internet I've ever used, the most stable, the easiest to deal with. I have 3 accounts. One here, one at the property in Washington, and one on the coach when I travel, and I could not be happier with internet. And then some people are going to go, well, not everybody can afford that. Yes, sorry. That's how things work in a free market. If you can't afford something, that doesn't mean the rest of us should pay for it. Nobody needs high-speed internet to live. In fact, I would say that the people in rural America that can't afford internet are probably better off. But it doesn't matter whether they are or not. There is no way our government should be providing that. I'm sorry. I just do not agree with that. So after spending $42.5 billion, how many homes do you think have been connected? Now, this is 3 years after we spent the money. Not one single home got connected to the internet. Why not? Where'd the money go? This is why the government needs to get out of the free market, and we have to really start demanding that the government gets out of the free market. But yet what I see, and I even see it in trucking, I talk about it all the time, we think the government should solve every problem we have. In trucking, we want them to solve the driver shortage. We want them to solve the parking shortage. We want them to solve the rates being too low. We want them to solve broker transparency. Every time we ask the government to solve something, they're going to spend our money, and we're not going to get any results. This has got to stop. This is really what is driving up inflation. This is a big part of it. The government spending our money with 0 results. We can actually say 0 results. $42.5 billion. We got no homes connected. The program shouldn't even exist. All right, we've got calls coming in. One other thing. Tomorrow, 2 o'clock Central Time, that would be noon for me. We're doing a special live episode. So we will be live, and of course it will be recorded, and it will be on the app if you miss it. We're bringing back Dr. Ken Berry. So Dr. Berry may have been one of our listeners' favorite doctors, really down-to-earth general practitioner. We haven't had Ken on the show for a couple years now. Ken is coming back, but he could not make Wednesdays. So we decided to do a special live episode so we could get him into the show. So tomorrow at noon Pacific time, I guess that would be 3 o'clock Eastern time, we'll have Dr. Ken Berry back on. Maybe some other things we're going to be working on around that. I'll keep you informed in that. Here's something else, one other little odd and kind of weird. We're about to have a heat wave today. I think we're going to hit 90. It's pretty hot for us here. I saw a lot of areas of the country in the 90s, maybe even into the hundreds. Why do we talk about this hot weather now like it's so dangerous? I keep seeing all these reports about how dangerous this is. We've had weather like this my entire life. We've had heat waves, 100 plus, high humidity. I'm always shocked when it does happen that sometimes people do die. Now, sometimes it's, a really bad case of heat stroke, which is just kind of stupidity, really. It's not that hard not to fall victim to heat stroke. Stay hydrated, don't overheat. I mean, it's pretty much common sense. A lot of times you hear elderly people dying, and we'll hear they didn't have enough money for air conditioning, and we're getting really weak and frail if temperatures like this can kill us. Human beings have been living outdoors in these temperatures without air conditioning for the whole time we've been on the planet. Why do people die? Even elderly people, if you can't afford air conditioning, step under the shower and then in front of a fan. You'll cool your body temperature down really quickly. How hard is that? But now we're not just talking about the elderly or the weak or the frail. They're making it sound like everybody is in danger of this hot weather. We've become so weak, I swear. All right, I'm going to get to some phone calls. Let's get started in Maryland. Luke, welcome to the program.
Good morning, Kevin. I was just wondering, I heard you yesterday talking to a couple callers about thyroid issues, and I was wondering if you could do a back to the basics for us on where is your thyroid located and what does it do?
We could do that. I'm not sure that it helps all that much. Thyroid it's part of one of our more complex systems. We have several parts working together and a lot of hormones involved in all of this. We used to talk about this quite a bit, the pituitary, adrenal, thyroid axis. So the pituitary glands, the adrenal glands, the thyroid gland, they all work together, and there's a lot of hormones being passed around, and it has a lot to do with our metabolism. Other than that, I'm not sure that it helps to know all the details about thyroid. And what we do know is that thyroid is one of those organs that is very sensitive to our diet and our metabolism. We tend to see people with what we would call a slow thyroid. That would be hypothyroidism. And when the thyroid slows down, our metabolism slows down. We tend to gain weight. People get cold. There are some pretty clear symptoms. Sometimes we're not exactly sure why it slows down. My guess would be it's all involved in the hormone levels. Other times it is attacked by our own immune system. So that would be an autoimmune thyroid condition. And there are several with names. In that case, we don't necessarily treat the thyroid, we treat the gut, because it's leaky gut that always leads to an autoimmune condition. So we never really deal directly with the thyroid itself, other than there are some hormone levels we try to balance. But it's either a hormone issue, which we'll deal with in diet, or it's an autoimmune condition, and we'll deal with that on diet as well. So do you have somebody that's experiencing something you think might be thyroid related?
No, I had just heard a couple calls yesterday on the health show about thyroid issues, and I wasn't sure if it was an organ similar to, say, the gallbladder that has a very specific function. I understand the gallbladder fairly well, and I wasn't sure if the thyroid was something like that or what that was.
Well, it is something like that, I guess, because, it's an organ in the body. But other than that, most of our organs do very, very different things. I mean, comparing the gallbladder to the liver or the gallbladder to the pancreas. I mean, all of our organs have very specific roles or primary roles. The liver is the one that can really get confusing because the liver actually does over 500 things in the body. That's why we spend a lot of time talking about liver. The thyroid, like I said, it gets pretty complicated because of the axis, that whole adrenal axis, and there are a lot of the body's functions also being controlled by the thyroid. I don't know that it has the, if I had to pick one thing to say is the primary, it's probably really how our body's using energy.
Okay.
We talk about the speed of our metabolism. If somebody says I have a slow metabolism, that means they probably don't have a lot of energy. They're probably gaining weight. They get cold easily. That would be a slow metabolism. If it is thyroid related, we would call that hypothyroidism. If their metabolism is too fast and it's hormone related from the thyroid, we would call that hyperthyroidism. That's a little more rare these days. Then you would see people that just can't gain weight. They have too much energy. There is a downside to having a really fast metabolism. Everybody thinks, oh, I just want my metabolism to be faster because they think that then they wouldn't have trouble losing weight. And that may be the case. But we focus sometimes way too much on weight. Having too fast of a metabolism wears out your body early. So we don't really want that. We want our thyroid to operate in the normal range. The problem, again, if you go to a traditional doctor, they only measure a couple basic hormones, and then they will just prescribe a drug. That's their only method of fixing anything, and it doesn't fix anything. It just covers up symptoms, and that's all they do with the thyroid. They don't dig deep to figure out what is actually wrong with the thyroid and then fix it. Like I said, either by balancing hormone levels or by stopping the autoimmune attack on the thyroid.
Okay, so it's one of those organs that if we eat healthy and correct, we should never really have an issue with it.
Had we eaten healthy and correct, our whole life, I doubt that we would ever hear about the thyroid. But we don't, and we go through decades of eating poorly, so thyroid issues are very, very common. And like most issues, they will not be resolved if you go to the doctor. If you have a thyroid issue and you are going to a traditional doctor, you will have a thyroid issue and be on some sort of a prescription the rest of your life.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that clears up kind of what it does in the human body. I do thank you for that.
You're welcome. Oh, I think you asked where it is too. It's actually in your neck.
Okay.
There's it actually kind of almost wraps around your trachea. There are two lobes. One lobe is on the right side of the trachea, one lobe's on the left side, but it's kind of high up in your neck, right around your throat.
Okay. Okay. Well, thanks for the explanation.
You're welcome. Thanks for the call. Let's go to North Carolina. Justin, welcome to the program.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. What's on your mind today?
Okay, so I talked to you the other week, and I got cut off, going into California or whatever, and I was talking to you about my maintenance costs being really high, and they're getting even higher now because our clutch went out, and that's going to be, like $6,000 to replace that. And you were saying something about, is it just initially high, and is it going to, start like falling off and falling down and getting lower as we've had, have the truck longer? And then the other part of it is, if it doesn't continue to go down, we'd almost be better off just to get rid of the truck and get a different one.
At some point, maintenance cost can absolutely cause us to get rid of a truck and get something else. Doesn't mean we have to buy a new truck. We could buy a very similar truck to what we already have. But at some point, if that cost gets too high, and this is never a really clear, straightforward answer. really, if somebody were asking my advice whether they should go buy another truck or not, I would almost want them in the coaching program so I had time to go back and look
Well, I did sign
deeper.
up for the coaching program last week after we got off the call. I just, for some reason, I don't know if it was
Yeah.
the website or what, but it wouldn't let me in.
We'll make sure we get you in, especially if you've already paid for it. We want to get you in because here's the thing. I sometimes if I have time to really look at the history of these repairs, the miles that are on the truck, the type of truck it is, what engine, what driveline, we kind of know that sometimes you're going to go through this period where we're going to have pretty high maintenance cost. You know, on a Freightliner, we might be doing a one box. We might a clutch. What truck is this? What truck and what engine? What year?
It's a Peterbilt 579. It's a 2020, and it has the Cummins ISX in it.
X15. How many miles?
It's got 570,000 right now.
Okay, right off the bat, I could tell you this: we should not have excessively high maintenance cost on this truck. I may not need the coaching program. We're way too early in the life of this truck to need these. From what I'm hearing, do we know what the maintenance cost per mile is?
Right now, it's hovering around 50 cents.
Ooh,
I mean, and that depends on what the final bill
right.
is after this.
Yeah, well, it can only get worse.
Repair.
Right. It can only get worse. Is it really $6,000 to put a clutch in one of these?
Well, I mean, the parts were going to be like $2,700.
Wow.
And then I was talking to Chris over, Blue Ribbon Logistics with Larry, and
Right.
he was saying that, they'd been down this road of, having a clutch repaired, and he's like, well, if they say that they want to resurface the flywheel, we've learned from experience, just go ahead and put a new flywheel in while you're at it. So
Oof.
told the gentleman over there at the shop to go ahead and put another one in, but after it was all said and done, it was going to be like $4,200 for parts, and then, 14 hours of labor, you know what I'm saying? So
yeah, wow.
It'll be,
wow.
$1,500, $2,000 in labor.
So give me some other ideas, some of the big stuff you've had to do to this truck. I mean, there's got to be some big ones in there with that kind of cost.
Yeah. So the first real major thing we had the issue with the fuel system where one tank ran dry.
Okay.
And we had to call emergency roadside out. That was $2,000. To actually go into the shop and have that fixed, that was another, I don't know, $800, $1,200. While we were there, we went through DPF Alternatives, had the SCR cleaned, had the DPF filter cleaned, but the DPF filter didn't hold up during the cleaning process, so we had to buy a new DPF filter. And then they put it all back together. We needed to buy another doser, so we bought another doser, put that on there. And then what else? The other big one is just this clutch, but
the clutch isn't even in this number yet.
Yeah.
So I'm not. This is why
not yet. And in the maintenance cost, it's I've got the rental car and all that kind of stuff thrown in there.
Yeah, I'm still. That it's fine to do that because that is all cost related to maintenance. But here's the thing, I'm not hearing 50 cents a mile here. Not even close. I mean, what you've described to me, other than the clutch, the fact that this truck needs a clutch at this mileage worries me. I mean, you have to be really, really hard on a clutch to wear it out in 500 and some thousand miles.
Well, it's automatic too, so I mean, it's not like it.
Well, that clutch should not wear out this fast. Oh no, you could still drive a truck with a clutch wrong. Or with an auto shift, I mean. It's got a clutch with an auto shift. You could still drive them wrong, or we got a bad build, or I don't know why the clutch failed. But that's all I'm really hearing that's out of the norm. Having a DPF issue at almost 600,000 miles, not unusual, and it was a couple $1,000s.
Right.
I mean, in order to get to 50 cents a mile, we've got to be spending a lot of money, or your mileage is really, really low, I mean, that can do it too. If you just haven't put on a whole lot of miles, then all of your cost per mile can look worse.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like we don't have a whole lot of miles on this truck. We've only put, I don't know, about 50,000 miles on it since we've had it.
That's part of the
Been
reason
going.
why
So,
the
I mean, that's
cost
why
per
it
mile is
seems like it's high.
looking so high. So I'm mixed on this one. I believe the cost per mile has been high for you, but I'm not, other than the clutch, I'm not hearing anything that's all that concerning. I mean, the other stuff is pretty normal. $2,000 repairs today, that's just pocket change. Really, on a truck
Right.
today, 2,000 is just almost nothing anymore. 6,000 is concerning, but technically that clutch now should outlast the truck, so we won't have that cost again.
Right, and we won't have the DPF cost again either. Because
This-
I've been running max mileage in it since I bought it.
Right. What kind of fuel mileage does this truck get?
We're getting around 7-ish.
So you're not tracking it all that closely.
No,
When I
I'm
hear
tracking it
around
closely.
7-ish, that could be
Well-
6.3 in some people's mind. It could be 7.8 in somebody else's mind.
Well, here, let me pull it up.
Yeah, pull it up. Give me an average. Give me a lifetime average if you're tracking it that way.
Okay, so for the month of March, it was 6.97.
Okay.
For April, it was 7.41. May was 6.89. And, let's see, read June real quick. 6.65 so far.
I'm a little concerned about that. That's really low. Tell me about your operation. What kind of trailer are we pulling first off?
Pulling a van, not really staying in any particular lane. We do a lot of, like Indianapolis out to Salt Lake and down to California. So there's a lot of mountains. I mean, depending, there's a lot of wind. Sometimes we're really, close to 80.
Indiana to the West Coast is not that rough of a run. I mean, you've got a lot of flat ground. Sure, we've got some pulls in there, but if you look at it, you are on level ground probably 90+% of the time. Just vans, so it shouldn't be unusually heavy. Honestly, the fuel mileage on this truck sucks.
Yeah, I mean, it does. And I mean, I've been wanting to do some things, like.
So let's go back a second, because I do have a recommendation here, but I got to go back. Why did you buy this truck?
Say again?
Why did you buy this truck? What made you look at this truck and say, that's the one?
Well, I mean, it looked like it was really well taken care of. The engine hours on it were really low. It didn't have, like, any leaks or anything like that.
What do you mean engine hours were low?
The engine hours were low, yes, sir.
Low compared to, why are we even looking at hours on an over-the-road truck? I mean, all we need to look at it, we know the mileage, and we should look at idle time, but total hours on the engine. Oh, well, that's different than total hours on the engine. We can look that up. I just don't see any value in the number. An over-the-road truck, for the most part,
well, I was looking at it.
They're either driving down the road,
that way.
Yeah, or they're idling. Yeah. So we could look at mileage. It's somewhat high mileage for 2020. It's on the upper end. I don't know if maybe it had a team on it or it was run pretty hard at one point. That shouldn't be a problem. What was the idle percentage? Do you remember?
It was very low.
Okay.
It was a lot lower than a lot of other trucks. I mean, I don't know exactly what the hours were on it.
Well, that might also indicate
the same amount of mileage.
A team.
Huh?
That might also indicate a team.
Well, me and my girlfriend run team in it now. I don't know if it was run team in it.
So,
before.
but I'm still trying to figure out, like, okay, so it was low idle time. Didn't you look at the history of the fuel mileage in the ECM? Because it would have been in the 6s. I mean, to me, that's an absolute no. When I go to look at a truck, and this is why I'm asking you this question, what did you look at and say, this is the one? Because my method of buying a truck is the opposite. I look as hard as I can to rule out a truck. I don't look at a truck and go, that's the one. I look at a truck and try to figure out why it's not the one. This one would have been easy. The ECM had to show a lifetime average somewhere in the sixes. That's an absolute no for me. In today's world, if a 2020 or newer truck isn't doing 8+ miles to the gallon, I'm not interested. We can't really predict the maintenance problems sometimes. That's really, really difficult to do. No matter how much digging we do, it is hard to figure out if a truck is going to be a maintenance problem. There are some clues we could look at. There may not have been any clues with this truck. I would... How much did you pay for this thing?
It was like 57.
Honestly, I would not want to own this truck. If I could get out of this truck, I would. Now, when I say if I could, you got to look financially. You're going to take a hit. You're going to lose money on what you paid for it, what you're going to be able to sell it for. You're going to have to go buy something else, and there's always some risk in that as well. But I just would not be at all excited about keeping this truck. But I want to be clear, you should have never bought this truck. There was no good reason to buy this truck, and I could have come up with several good reasons why not to. So two things. If you can financially afford to get out of this truck and into another one, you should. You need to buy the next one much better than you bought this one.
Okay.
And I can help you with that, but we have to determine first if this is a smart financial move right now.
Okay. Okay.
How much were you able to put down on this?
Well, we own it outright cash.
Excellent.
We have the title in hand.
Excellent. Okay, so now I can say this. You can afford to get out of this truck. I don't even need to ask you any other questions. Some things are pretty obvious. If you could afford to buy this thing cash, you can afford to get out of it. And I would. I would seriously start looking for another truck.
Okay. Okay.
This truck is never going to be what helps you succeed. This truck is always going to be a drain on your success. That's the way we have to look at
And that's
this.
like one part of this whole thing is it's like, like ever since we've been started doing this in, March, it's like, every time we think that we're getting ahead, something happens to where it's like, well, all that money that we had saved is just right out the window.
And that's not going to stop.
Unsustainable to not really be.
Yeah. And even if it does stop, just the fuel cost alone would scare me away from this truck.
Right.
So you've already signed up for the coaching program. I can really help you find that correct truck. So as soon as you start looking and you've got some leads, send them over to me anytime throughout the week, whenever you're looking. And then when we have a coaching call like this afternoon, I'll have that information and I can spend some time on it before the call.
Okay. How will we get that over there to you?
I will put you back on hold. I'll put you back in the queue, and Angie will get you all fixed up.
Okay, awesome. I appreciate it, sir.
You're welcome. Thanks for the call. Yeah, we will find you a better truck. This one's got to go. Let's go to Minnesota. John, welcome.
Hi, Kevin. You told me to book you about reading a book. And I'm wondering if you've gotten it read yet.
I haven't. Not only am I got a lot of stuff going on, all good stuff, so I'm not complaining. But it's also summertime, so my reading time gets cut down in summer. And I have been reading a lot, but I am not at all caught up. I've got a couple guests that are coming on the show that have written books, and I haven't gotten through theirs yet. And then I got off on some of the novels that I was reading, and so, no, I haven't read it yet. Which one was it? Whatever it was, I'm sure I haven't read it. Okay. That's the Spencer Johnson book, isn't it?
Same guy that did Who Moved My Cheese.
Yeah, Spencer Johnson. Yeah, I have not. It's on my Kindle, but I haven't gotten to it yet.
Yeah, you told me to bug you, so that's why
Good.
I figured I'd call.
Good. I'll, I need, I think I said this the other day. I need to figure out how to get my Kindle back under control. I might just buy a new one because my battery's starting to get a little weak anyway. Somehow
That's what you were saying.
I let my Kindle get way out of control. Like there's too many books on there. I wasn't getting books off of it after I read them. Then I kept buying books, and then I was buying whole series of books. And now I look at my Kindle, and it is just a mess. And if I do it on the Kindle, it takes me forever. I just don't have the patience. I need to see if there's some site I can do it online, or I may just have to burn that thing and start over with the new one.
Yeah, well, I will keep bugging you every couple of weeks and see if you read it or not. So.
You know, now that I think about it, I wish Kindle would put in a feature that easily allowed me to organize my books. So I could put them in like a priority list of how I want to read them and then just keep reading. Because every time I pick up my Kindle, I swear I spend 15 minutes just trying to figure out what books I have and what I should be reading.
I know what you mean. I'm trying to figure out on my Audible account. I got 300 and some odd books, or no, I got 500 on there, and I'm trying to figure out which ones I read, which ones are the next in series, which ones I haven't read. And I get where you're coming from on your Kindle, and I can only imagine yours would be worse.
Yeah, and honestly, unless I'm missing something, they just don't make it easy to manage the content on there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, keep bugging me. I'll get to it. And it's probably a really short read, right? It's probably one of those like 3 or 4 hour books.
I think 5 hours on Audible.
Okay. So
I don't remember exactly.
That'd be about 3 hours for me.
But it might be shorter.
Yeah.
But yeah.
All right. Keep bugging me. I'll get to it. All right. Thanks for the call.
Will do.
Let's see. No, we're good. I can certainly get some more calls in here. I got to watch the clock because I got to be heading out of here by 9 my time to make room for Rolling Toe. But I still have some time for more calls. I've got one I'm going to take right now. If you want to jump in, hit that call now button, or if you're watching on the live stream, pick up the phone, 855-950-3835. I do have a couple questions in the chat. I will try to get to those if I have some time after calls. Let's go to South Carolina. Trey, welcome.
Hey, Kevin, how you doing today, buddy?
Good. What can I help you with?
Hey, look here. I was diagnosed with diabetes and type 2. And they got me on metformin, and they wanted me to take that Mounjaro and stuff like that, but I didn't take the Mounjaro or nothing.
Good.
I know you were saying that doing the keto diet, the carnivore diet, and all that.
Right.
You were talking about the fats and stuff in the diet. Like, what exactly? Like chicken, steak, what?
So first off, our body can run on 2 forms of energy. It can run on carbohydrates, which are sugar and starches. So a lot of people get the sugar thing. They don't necessarily get the starch thing. Starch and sugar to your body are the same thing. They spike insulin. That's what causes diabetes. That and bad seed oils in your diet. So we need to avoid sugars, starches, and seed oils in order to reverse diabetes. And we can absolutely do it. We can reverse diabetes completely. Doctors will say, no, it's not really reversed. It's in remission. If they go back to eating the way they were, they'll be diabetic again. Well, of course they will be. I mean, nobody argues that, but that doesn't mean that it's just in remission. It's just a bunch of words. I can get somebody to the point, I don't care how bad their diabetes is or ever was, I can get them to the point where I could send them to the doctor and ask the doctor to tell me if they were ever diabetic, and they would have no way of knowing. That to me sounds like you're cured. So we do say you can
Yeah.
cure diabetes. It does require a strict diet. I mean, it really, for most people, they look at the diet and go, oh, yeah, I'm just not sure if I could do that. Do you know what the highest A1C reading you've ever recorded was?
8.5.
Say that again.
It was 8.5.
Okay, 8.5. That's not bad. I mean, it's bad, but it's not bad compared to what I've dealt with. My record is like 14.8. And we got that person down into the high fives, which is cured. So,
All right. I mean, the lowest I've had was a 6.
When was that?
And that was probably a year ago.
Was that after they started you on any kind of medication?
Yeah, that was after they started on metformin.
Yeah, so we want under 6 with no medication. Now, you could replace your metformin with berberine, which is just a supplement. No side effects. Metformin has some side effects. Metformin does work. It will lower your blood sugar. So will berberine with no side effects. It's a supplement. So that's one of the things you could start right away. Just make that switch. The
Now, what's the
key
name of that
to
supplement?
berberine, just like it sounds.
Oh, okay.
You can get it in our store at letstruck.com. The real key, though, here is not the berberine. It's just better than taking metformin. It will help you control blood sugar. But the real key here is going to be the diet. The more protein and fat, primarily fat is what you're looking for. And I know that's what you're asking for. So all of the animal fats are good. So beef tallow, pork lard, chicken schmaltz. We have a word for all the different fats that come off different animals. Duck fat's one of my favorites. So all of the animal fats are good to cook with, good to add to your food, good to, buy really fatty cuts of meat. Short ribs are really fatty. Most of the, cuts around the ribs can be really fatty. The more fat in the meat, the better it's going to be. So we want a high fat.
I know I've been listening to you for a while.
Yeah, moderate
I've been
protein.
telling my wife about you, but sorry, go ahead.
No, that's okay. So the more of that you eat, let's say that you were really strict about this, and almost nobody is, and you were eating 100% animal products, eggs, fatty meat, adding butter and other fats to our food. If you're doing that, we could see a result in your blood sugar in less than a week.
All right.
And we would see the lowering of your A1C in 90 days. It really does take 90 days to get an accurate reading on your A1C because it is a 90-day average.
So they also told me I got like high cholesterol too, that I can't eat eggs.
Ignore that.
Like that,
Ignore that. That is total bullshit. They are so wrong about that, and that's what is keeping people sick. The very foods that we need to fix diabetes are the foods they tell you not to eat.
That's kind of what I was thinking too, because my wife's a nurse and she's kind of pushing what the doctor says, but.
Well, of course she is. But here's the thing. I want your wife to stop and think about something. I want your wife to wherever she works, whether it's a hospital, a clinic, or whatever, I want her to think about, has she ever seen anybody in that system cure diabetes? Ever?
Yeah.
The answer will be no.
Right.
Nothing they do will ever cure diabetes. They don't even talk about it. They just talk about managing it for the rest of your life. And then I'm going to come in and tell you, why would we manage a disease that we can just cure?
Mm-hmm.
But here's the reason.
That's true.
The reason's pretty obvious. It's like most things in life. Follow the money. If you cure somebody of diabetes, they're done. They're no longer a customer. Diabetic patients cost about $10,000 a year to manage diabetes.
Yeah.
Yeah, why would they want to cure you? They don't.
Yeah, I mean,
and they never
they
do.
wouldn't. I mean, 'cause
Right.
there's more money out their pocket.
That's exactly right. I hate to say that. I wish our system wasn't designed that way. It shouldn't be designed that way. I'm a capitalist. I think everybody should make a lot of money. But you should not make money keeping people sick when you could cure them. That's criminal.
Yeah, 100%. Another thing, my wife was diagnosed with type of thyroid where she
Hypo?
doesn't lose, it's hypo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Slow thyroid.
That's it.
Yeah, I just talked
But
about that
they
earlier.
took
That
her
is.
thyroid out because she had a tumor on one of them.
Yeah, of course she did. That was all caused by the diet, by the way.
Well, I mean, she don't eat. She eats one time a day.
Doesn't matter how much she eats.
She
It
eats
matters
like a
what
small
she
bowl, like
eats.
a cup. Yeah. But I mean, now she's got blood clots and all that now, and
Well, she's a
they
nurse,
talking about
so
putting-
hold on. I have to ask this. She's a nurse. Did she get the vax?
Yeah.
Then there's
Yeah, she got it.
there's why she has blood clots.
Well, they're telling her it's genetic. 'Cause
No,
it
it's
runs in her
not
family.
genetic.
Daddy has blood
Bullshit.
clots and all that too.
Bullshit. There's nothing genetic about blood clots. I don't care if her dog has them. There is a clear. People that know and understand this, what do we call it? We refer to it as the clot shot. It is very, very well known that this thing causes lots of blood clotting. And they want to blame it on genetics? Come on.
Well, I know they're talking about putting her because she got bad varicose veins on her legs, and they're talking about putting like stents and all in her leg.
So here's my recommendation
whatever
for her. I mean, you're actually easy. You kind of get it. It sounds to me like you're willing to change your diet. We can fix you. I'm actually more concerned about her now, but I have a recommendation.
Yeah.
I think she would probably trust doctors much more than she trusts some ex-truck driver on the radio. I get that. She should really do a consultation with Dr. Wolfson. He is a doctor. He's a cardiologist, very renowned cardiologist. He will set her straight on all of this. The stents are not going to fix anything.
Okay.
She needs to be eating the exact same diet you're going to be eating. It will fix both her we can't really fix her hypothyroidism anymore because they took her thyroid out. They treat these things like they're spare parts.
Yeah.
They're not. When did she develop the tumor?
Precisely. She got them cut out last year, and last October or something like that.
So I have more bad
She
news.
got them cut out.
I'm also going to blame that tumor on the shot. Because that's the other thing we're seeing a lot of. They call that, we have a term for this, these turbo cancers that show up out of nowhere, and they're so bad that this one, they immediately had to take the thyroid out. That's not normal. And now that she's lost the thyroid, she has lost that function forever. We can't really replace that.
Yeah.
Now, I know they're giving her thyroid hormones.
I know she's always trying to lose weight.
Well, I can help her with that.
I know she's always trying to lose weight, but she keeps wanting to count her calories and all that. I'm like, well, from what I'm understanding, calories don't
matter.
Don't work.
Well, let's talk about it. How long has she been trying to lose weight by counting calories?
I mean, her weight's always been up and down, but I mean...
Well, right, but we don't want it up and down.
I mean, it's
that
been a while.
up and down is wrong. We should just be our normal body weight all the time. We shouldn't be. Up and down tells me she's trying to cut calories and cut fat. And it works for
she don't eat meat.
It works. There's a real problem. It works for a while. But then it doesn't because we can't sustain it because she's basically starving herself trying to lose weight, which is bad for her thyroid.
Yeah.
That adds to the problems. And when I hear she only eats once a day and she eats a small cup of it, that's her problem. Wouldn't it be wonderful if I told her you can eat as much as you want? You should never, ever be hungry. And if you eat the right foods, you'll lose weight. Did you hear when I told you about what you should be eating? Lots of meat, lots of fatty meat, lots of eggs, lots of animal products. Did I ever once say, don't eat too much of those things? Did I ever talk about?
No.
No, because it doesn't matter how much you eat of those things. Your body will self-regulate when you eat the right foods. When you eat over-processed, low-fat foods, you can't regulate your appetite. You're hungry all the time because your body is screaming for nutrition and you're not getting any. You might be getting calories, but you're not getting any nutrition. So you will always be hungry. When you eat real food, I tell people, if you're hungry, eat. If you eat and you're still hungry, eat more. If you eat and you're hungry 2 hours later, eat again. Just make sure you're eating the right food.
Yeah, I know that she took my kids to the doctor and they tried to say that they got high cholesterol, and she's talking about wanting to put them on medicine.
Of course, they're going to put them on statins. And statins, nobody should be on statins. Trey, I got to run. I got to get to some other calls. Call me back. Let's keep talking about this. Like I said, you're going to be easy. I can fix you easy. Your wife's going to be a different matter. I got to blow through some calls here. I had almost none. I should have probably blocked the calls. Now I got a bunch. Abe in Texas, what do you got?
Good morning. Oh, can you hear me okay?
I can.
You were talking about books that you would think that need to be turned into TV series, and you left out the Rudolph Diesel one. I just figured that one needed to be included in that.
That you know what? This is another weird one for me. I started reading this book and then stopped for some reason. And again, I think I got there's so much stuff on my Kindle. I think I just forgot. So I got to go back to that one. But you're right. I think I've read maybe a third of it. That would make a really good series.
I forget who brought it up, but I really appreciated that one. I really enjoyed that one. I enjoyed it a lot more than the nuclear war.
Did you? Well, it's got a better message. Although that message was kind of scary too. This government interference stuff has been going on for a long time. Yeah. Hey, thanks for the call. I do have to kind of keep moving along. I want to blow through these calls. Looks like I have several book recommendations. Sarah, it's your turn.
Hey, I wanted to recommend a book. Oh, shoot, it disappeared off my screen. Barking Up the Wrong Tree, The Surprising Science Behind Why Everything You Know About Success is Mostly Wrong.
Ooh.
By Eric Barker, and I put it on the Tribe for Everybody.
That sounds like an interesting one. I like those kind of books.
It's very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
All right. I will get that one on my Kindle too. And somebody did tell me, Jeremy sent over that if I use the Kindle app on my phone, that it's easier to look through the library. I'm hoping maybe I can organize it on there. I'll give that a try, especially now because it looks like I have several more book recommendations coming. Jerry, it's your turn.
Well, I could, but if you're running out of time, we'll make it short. I just want to tell you how grateful I am for you to tell me that you're having problems with your Kindle, because my 89-year-old mother reads a lot of books in the nursing home, and she has a hell of a time with her Kindle. She's always hitting the wrong button. She can't find a book. She loses a book. She'll be halfway through a book, and it'll disappear, and she'll change the font size, and she has a hell of a time. So I am glad to hear that you, as technologically literate as you are, that you have problems with it too. So I'm quite grateful for you saying that.
I love my Kindle for a lot of reasons. It's very small. It's light. I love reading on it. I can read in total darkness or total sunlight. It's really easy on your eyes. I love the experience of reading a book. I hate the interface when it comes to managing my books. It is a mess.
And see, that's where Audible, I know that guy said he has trouble with the Audible, but the Audible app is so simple for the simple reason you've got 5 lists on here. You've got you got all titles, not started, in progress, downloaded, and finished. And you can move them from place to place, and it's so simple to find anything on Audible app that's
a
so
good
much, and that's
point.
why I have so much frustration in dealing with her on the phone. She'll say, "Oh my God, I was right in the middle of this book and I lost it." You know,
That must have been what happened with me and Rudolph Diesel. No, I agree, and that's a good comparison.
yeah, that was
Because
a really good book.
it's really the same thing. I mean,
Yeah.
whether it's an Audible file or a book on a Kindle, we're just managing titles and files. And you're right, Audible does a really good job of it. I never even think about it on
Yeah,
my Audible app. It's just easy.
Well, I can download a book onto my tablet, and then once I finish, you got a place on there that you just delete it off of the tablet, so it's no longer on the tablet. It's still in your Audible library, but it doesn't clutter up your
Exactly.
Audible app. And the only ones I have on the Audible app is I keep on the downloaded section there, and then the next book in line, I know which one it is, and there it is. So it's very, very easy to manage.
Here's
so I did finish. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, here's another feature that they added, and it sounds like it would have been a good thing, but it made things worse. They automatically group books by the same author into a group. Now, it seems logical or useful, but it messes me up even more because my kind of recreational reading, I read a lot of the same authors. So I end up with sometimes 20 plus books, but it's grouped with the author, and it just makes things worse. It doesn't make anything better. It makes it harder for me to figure out where my books are.
Well, if it's worse for you, think about that poor mother. I swear she has an awful time with that. And she's on one daughter's Audible account or Kindle account, so I can call that daughter and say, "Hey, get mother this book," and she can get it and force it to her account. But then my other daughter, that's a nurse, works at the nursing home my mother is, so she'll just lay it on her table, and whenever that daughter that's a nurse comes in, she just hands it to her and says, "Here, find me a book." So that's how she cures her problem. So.
Yeah, well, there you go. Well, I love the fact that she's reading on the Kindle. I wish it was a better experience for her, but I understand it's frustrating.
Yeah. Real quick on that Casey Means book, I guess I want to tell you how grateful I am to you to be doing what you're doing. I did listen to that on Audible. I have a hell of a time listening to health books on Audible. They just go in one ear and out the other. She's got so many lists and formulas and figures and milliliters per decibel on that damn thing that I'm so grateful for you. All you need to do is boil that down to 4 words. Just eat real food. I didn't need to have read the book.
Now, I will say
it's just too hard. It's just too hard on Audible.
I can see that, and I will say that I gave my report a little early. It was only about a third of the way through the book. The first third of the book is the best, in my opinion. It does get a little too deep into some of those kind of measurements, and I will say she's probably going to be one of these doctors that leans a lot heavier towards a lot of vegetables than I'm probably comfortable with. So we may or may not have that discussion, but she's really impressive for her age. Between her and her brother was like an executive insider at Pepsi, and now he reveals like all the trade secrets that go on in those companies. So between the two of them, they've been doing a lot of good work.
Yep, and it's a excellent resource, but it's just not conducive to Audible. It just should be a book where you can take notes and it was really difficult. It really was. But so I'm so grateful for you to be able to reread it and summarize it for us and save me stumbling through it. But I did make it. So all right, that's enough. You got to get on. So
all right, good stuff.
Thanks,
I've got one more call, just enough to push me past the 9 o'clock mark, so I'll be late. But that's all right. I see we're screening Mike and Kevin right now, so we're going to go to Wyoming for the final call. Mike, you get the last word.
Hey, Kevin, I don't have a whole lot of time, and this is kind of like a long subject, but I had some information on your magnetic north moving.
Oh, yeah.
It's way longer conversation than what you have. But also, so just to kind of change it back, but I would like to give my phone number because you had a guy call yesterday that took my advice of cleaning the depth doser valve to get them out of regens and possibly not having a fuel pump. But if it's possible, I give my contact information through you, and I have no problem helping people out if they want to give me a call. I'm very knowledgeable on this emissions and saving people money.
Excellent.
But yeah, and if you ever want to, I'll call back another time and talk to you about this magnetic north moving. And
I'd love to.
And it's been moving since they found magnetic north in 1831. I researched this back in 2014, and it was funny because everything that's happening with the magnetic north is happening of what the theories were back in 2014.
Really?
And with weather changes and everything, like, it's crazy. It's a very long topic, but I would like to give you guys my number so any callers want to go over. I know Volvo emissions, everything about them. I've done it. So
excellent.
And I know what the anomalies can happen by one little sensor, and like it will throw off other sensors. One sensor can throw off 10 other sensors, and it's very hard to diagnose. But I usually know exactly where to start. And yeah, it's funny. A NOx sensor can throw off your EGR, and cause EGR problems with a NOx sensor. So
got it.
But anyways, yeah, I would like to give my information. If anybody wants help, I can usually diagnose stuff over the phone.
That'd be awesome. Go ahead.
And giving them in the right direction. So yeah. So, but I'd like to talk to you more about this magnetic north, but I know you're out of time.
Yeah, let's do that soon.
Okay, will do.
All right. Talk to you soon. Take care.
Yeah, all right. Bye.
All right.
Yep.
Let's I did pretty good today. Let me get rid of that call. Let me make sure I hit the right button. I did pretty good today, guys. I was only a minute and a half over. That might be a record for me. Good morning.
Good morning. Glad to be here.
Glad to have you here. Where's the other half of the dynamic duo? There he is.
I'm here. I'm trying to listen to you between your voice breaking up. Is it doing that in our ears, or is that everywhere?
No, that's just in the phone system. If people are listening on the app, it's fine. I don't know if it just started or not. Nobody had mentioned it to me up until now. Usually they tell me right away when it's happening.
Well, I just put the headsets on, so I'm telling you just as fast as I know anything.
Got it. Well, it's a good thing I'm done then.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you guys have
all right,
an exciting fact-filled show lined up for us today?
I got some new jokes.
Well, there you go.
Those are facts.
That's always good.
Yeah.
That's always good. You have a call already.
Yeah, I got a call.
You're doing usually.
Well, I got a call from my doctor too.
Uh-oh. What happened?
Yeah, he said I got bad news and I got worse news.
Oh boy.
I said, well, give me the bad news. He says, you got 24 hours to live. I said, wow, what's the worst news? He said, I forgot to call you yesterday.
Your time is a little short.
There it is.
All right.
But we're here.
You are here and you have a call already, so I'm just going to get out of your way and let you do your thing.
All right. Have a good day.
Thanks for what you do. You guys have a great day.
All right. Thank you. All right. So this is the Rolling Toe Show with